So I've, as a person who comes from a different country and has acquired a lot of knowledge in this new country, and I've used this knowledge to kind of make and pave a way for myself. I find it to be very useful to me. I find it very empowering to me to be able to take this knowledge I have and share this wealth with you guys. You guys are a big part of why I do this, and I want you to know I appreciate you. And as long as I'm going to be in this atmosphere, as long as I'm going to be in this sphere, I'm always going to accept challenges to my ideologies and to my way of life. I defend the weak. I side with the minority. I don't care if the right side is on the right side. I care about being on the right side of the people versus your ideology, But this stemming from a larger picture, I feel like because Black leadership in America is non-existent or has always been perceived as weak, if you think about it in the big picture, inherently defiant people in our culture don't do well when they're Black. Even the peaceful ones were taken out. And with that being said, it makes it a lot harder for us to really take apart the dichotomy of what's affecting the Black community without really understanding what is attributing to the Black community's downfall. And a big part of our downfall is our inability to shun bad actors in our group. Who is a bad actor, you say, in our group? Does the name Alfredo Bowman ring a bell? It should. Because if you don't know who he really is, then I'm not really surprised that you've been fooled with the imposter that he has been pretending to be long before he died, and the fact that a lot of people are carrying on his name long after he is dead. Welcome to another episode of the Identity Booth. Get amped, get hype. Why? Because I have 170 new followers. Not new, I now have 170. So that means I am 30 people away. Actually, no, it's 171. That means I'm 29 subscribers away from being at 200 subscribers. 200 subscribers. Let's get there, you guys. I love your faces. I've missed you guys. Let's talk about it. So today's topic was really supposed to be about three people. It was going to be about Kanye West, Alfredo Bowman, and Nick Cannon. But because Kanye West today, the day's date is the 20th, which was the 19th. So July 7th, 19th, Kanye West decided to have an impromptu presidential rally that lasted 52 minutes and 48 seconds. And when I tell you that was some of the most deranged, crazy stuff I've ever seen, I just decided I was going to do a separate video. So I'm going to talk about Alfredo Bowman right now. And maybe depending on how fast I get through his material, I'll probably talk about Nick Cannon. But I want to talk about false prophets within the Black community. What is a false prophet? A false prophet, I don't adhere to the biblical terminology as this. I think of it and take it very literal. A false prophet is a liar. A false prophet is somebody giving you information that is not useful, relevant, factual, cannot be peer reviewed. It is not information that is going to make your people, your society, your situation better. It might make your subconscious reality a little bit better because you don't have anything challenging it. And I want to talk about why these false prophets are so dangerous. So dangerous. My whole entire squad is. They're a group of people who prey on the weak. They're snake oil salesmen, and they come in different shapes and sizes, and they have different messages. Alfredo Bowman also known as Dr. Sebi. He's not a doctor. He's already pronounced that for him to have called himself a doctor when there's real people like me in the medical field who gave up a good proportion of 4 years of their life trying to become a doctor and failed, and to have this fuckface coming out of nowhere and just be able to say I'm a doctor, should it aggravate you? It should aggravate you that 36% of black men with treatable heart disease don't go get this heart treatment, even if they have insurance, because they don't feel comfortable talking to a white physician because there's lack of representation. You know, every nurse, every CRNA, every PA, every nurse prac should feel insulted when a black person, there's another fuckface, his name is, I said I was going to stop cursing. I'm going to have to bleep those out. Malachi Love Robinson down in Florida, who was scamming old ladies who rented out a building. The kid has moxie, but but it's illegal. If all the effort he went into stealing property, stealing identities, and cashing forged checks could have definitely gone towards, you know, getting an education. He had moxie. If he gets out, he's a felon, so he can't ever become a doctor now. And you see how all of a sudden our cultural power is one step removed and one step weaker because of people like this. Alfredo Bowman, I don't know when he was born, and I'm not really concerned about his things, because if the argument we're having is that this man cured a bunch of diseases and said he had people to prove it, and none of the, like, if that's your argument, I'm here to debate it with you because I got the receipts, baby. He had a court case about this, and he has been selling dreams, hopes, and lies. But you have to understand. Let's talk about the good before we dive into the bad. The one good thing he's ever said is switching up your diet and eating more vegetables and drinking more water. Duh. Eating healthy and eating right is healthy and right. This is not debatable. It is also not something that should garner the hope he got. But how did Dr. Sebi get this name and acquire this title? So we have to go back to the past, and we have to talk about Nipsey Hussle in order to better understand this situation. Nipsey Hussle, and I'm going to say some things about people who have passed who cannot defend themselves, but I adhere you. Please defend them if you want to in the comment section, but I mean no disrespect when I bring Nipsey Hussle's name into this. I didn't know who he was before he died, and I only figured out who he was after he passed away, and I started to learn a little bit more about him. But as a onward trajectory, I never really found him appealing. I never found his art stand appealing. I never found his lifestyle appealing, but that is me. I'm a nerd, I'm a weeb, I'm a dweeb. Get over it. Nipsey Hussle mentioned Alfredo Bowman on the Breakfast Club before his passing, and mentioned how this guy had came up with these diseases, found cures for these diseases, that there's no cure for the diseases he's mentioning, and the way he decided to talk about it, like mucus, which he believed was the cause of it. He would have been way better off saying like an itis of some sort, some type of inflammation. Inflammation is really the killer of the body. He would have been better off going that route, because mucus is how we blink. Mucus is that when the girl gets wet, that's mucus. The digestive tract, the thing that is surrounding the internal digestive tract of your stomach from the hydrochloric acid in your belly, is mucus. The bile ducts, that stuff you cough up in a dust storm, that's mucus. It stops bad things from going into your lungs. Mucus literally keeps your body moisturized so you don't snap, crackle, pop when you walk down the street. It's all there. So he doesn't, and this is, once again, I don't know why, the fact that I'm even talking about this it's crazy on itself, but this is a guy who admittedly never even had a high school diploma, and he was able to fool college degree students. That's to show you the power of want, the longingness for the black community for a black hero. We desire one, and we haven't had one. We've lost two. Rip Lewis, his name's escaped me. I don't know this guy's name. He died right after him. I didn't know who he was, but I'm gonna put his picture up here too. We're losing our black heroes and we're not gaining any back. And that's a lie in itself, because we do get them, but we don't want to listen to them. A select group of people refuse to follow through, and it's almost like a cult-like nature. Somebody will say, I was cured by following this man. Good for you. Don't even mention all the years of medication and all the years of, drug therapy that you went through to get to this point. But yeah, your 2-week regimen with this guy definitely did the trick. Congratulations. I can't fight you on that. If you're too blind to see, that the steps you took matter, okay, it's your life, your journey. I hope you live a full one. But I'm not going to sit and let people make a grandiose statement about this guy when he's really a dirtbag, trash bag individual. He's gutter trash. Let's be clear. I am not a fan of Alfredo Bowman. He was a liar, and every time somebody pushed his opinion, he played the race card. He's a fuckboy. So he made claims about how, he healed and he trained and he helped, people like Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson's an illegitimate son. Michael Jackson's illegitimate paralyzed baby mama. Michael Jackson's brother, left eye. It's amazing how this guy sold his these dreams, these lies to people and got them. And if my memory right, he tricked Left Eye into going to Africa to see where he stayed, and he claimed to be this, savant, this king amongst peasants. And he was a known local joker. That's a term from Pine Bluff. Means you've been here so long, nothing surprises you anymore. Like, you're just it. You know what's going on in a nothing ass town. How much do you know? That's crazy. But this guy sold the dreams. He sold those lies. And the thing that brought him to prominence, fame, is because Nipsey Hussle said that we should protect this guy. He said we should protect him, and to imply that the information he knew was readily available or readily, and Nipsey Hussle in that interview told lies, because there's no way Nipsey Hussle saw the peer-reviewed data paper and digested. I'm just going to assume that Nipsey Hussle does not readily understand the integral parts about virology, DNA, mesh mRNA, and the ability to an epidemiology. I'm going to assume this about this guy who was around. This is me being biased, but I can say that because he said that he saw it and he believed it, which can't be possible. So when Nipsey Hussle then died the way he died, it made it seem as if, there was a conspiracy out, and people love conspiracies. The truth is boring, but that conspiracy will sell tickets. I hit my homegirl up on IG. She put something out there. She hasn't been on the podcast yet, so I can't say her name. But she said the time it take a lie to travel, by the time the truth puts on his shoes, the lie would have made it around the world. That sits with me, because it sits with how the black community will share something. How many times have I said to somebody, this is gutter trash, why did you post this? I just shared it as an opinion. Bitch, no one cares about your opinion. And if you had one, you didn't put it there. You just shared it and put the emoji thinking about it. You are an idiot. You stress me out because you have kids. You've multiplied. Like, oy vey. But pushing forward, he talks about how his business was bombarded and rushed by the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, because he was making claims that he could solve these diseases. And of course, he thought he could. He's crazy. He couldn't. So what's next? Defend yourself in court. No lawyer. And it wasn't because it's not that he couldn't afford a lawyer. He had the money, but nobody was crazy enough to defend this man. Nobody was crazy. They wanted the money up front because they knew he was crazy. He goes to court and he decides to represent himself. And there's a big misconception here. The court case took place, I got the receipts. 1987, February 9th. The crazy madman, Alfredo Bowman, versus the Attorney General in New York, Robert Abrams. That date, go look it up. It's the same date that he claims he went against the Supreme Court and won. He did not win that case. They did a conjecture so that they wouldn't proceed, and he would no longer continue to make these statements, and he would pay back everything. It was basically the court's way of saying, we don't even want to deal with you, because this is something they've done before. With the chiropractor out of Tennessee, with the who sold dreams about being this. Have you ever talked to like one of these deranged people who said, yeah, I have these silver, Alex Jones? Like, there are hundreds of people. I'll put their articles up. I hate editing these things in, but it's so maddening to see how people take knowledge that someone doesn't have and use it against them to make a dime off of people's sickness. People already in trouble. That's the worst type of weakness, and people are holding this dude, Alfredo Bowman, as a hero. He manipulated the weak for a price tag. In this meeting, he made a claim. He made this claim that his reasoning for believing this, because the body is carbon, and therefore the carbon body is electrical, and that if you put non-carbon things into your body, bad things will happen. This is a dumb statement, because the thing we need the most in order to keep this body going, the most important part is oxygen, and that's definitely not carbon. Nitrogen, H2O. His argument, if you listen to it and you have a scientific mind, it falls down on his face. If you had basic freshman high school chemistry, you would know that this isn't right. The body is not an electrical grid. We have electrical impulses, but that doesn't make us a grid. He claims that the reason why he can't be found guilty is because he uses natural elements to cure, herbal supplements to cure these diseases. Okay, hey, I'm not going to knock you. Your B12 and vitamin D is very important. But this is where he starts to go off the deep end for me. He says that all chemicals are made out of herbal supplements. This is true and also not true, because we have man-made compounds that don't exist naturally in the world. They just don't. It's because of man-made intervention, which, I'll even let it slide to that extent. But he then said the reason why he can't be found guilty is because he's using the natural substance of the earth to cure diseases that are being caused by mucus, which once again, we talked about in the beginning, you need mucus in order for your body to survive. An unhealthy amount will hinder you, but it's not going to give you AIDS. Having mucus is not going to give you AIDS. Pushing forward, he claimed that this argument was so compelling, so amazing, that it convinced the judge, Anne, what's her name? Anne Schroederman, the judge, the Supreme Judge in this case, that he was legit. She said, "Wow, not only are you right, I want to become one of your patrons." Once again, remember, this wasn't a Supreme Court case, and this judge doesn't exist. Look her up. No such thing. There's a PhD doctor out in Delaware. There's a chiropractor out in Tennessee. Back in 1987, there was only 3 women in the legal justice system of New York, and 2 of them were secretaries. 3 of them, I think, were like paralegals. The other 2 I couldn't identify. The other ones. This woman doesn't exist. He made her up. And this was all part of his bigger lie as he was being shipped out of New York and moved to the West Coast, where he claimed to run into these other celebrities, because the jig was up on the East Coast. So he took his show on the road. This was a case of the FTC for a cease and desist order with with the attempt to regain lost profit by him selling false advertisement by the FTC. This had nothing to do with the Supreme Court. But because he had that conjecture that deferred, basically that situation where no one admits guilt, but everyone just pays back what is owed and we call it even, he could claim that he made a victory. And by definition, he's not wrong. He didn't lose. If that's your idea of winning, not losing, then sure, you won. But this guy's an idiot. So with his tail between his legs, he went out to the the West Coast, and started selling these dreams to people. And obviously, if you're a famous person, you can't really check up on another famous person. The Michael Jackson, the Dr. Sebi tried. Dr. Sebi, his fucking name is Alfredo Bowman. He tried to sue the Michael Jackson estate for $33,000, $300,000 or something like that, because he only received a $10,000 payment, which there's no confirmation that he ever received the payment. So he's lying that he got money for a situation that didn't even happen. Furthermore, when we give people like I can go on and on about this guy and all the things that he's done and how he's dangerous to the black community, but it doesn't really help if the black community doesn't realize the danger they're in. If this dude truly had the cure to any of these diseases, why haven't they been used? Why isn't this something that's free? Like, why wouldn't he immediately go liberate a whole entire continent of people that look just like him? Why stay in America? Why be accepted here? The Western medicine doesn't accept you. Go back out east. Prove your merit. It's disturbing how easily people are deceived by this, and it's not, and you know why? We know why. Because people want heroes. People believe in heroes. People want to believe that they're part of the in crowd. I've been on game. This dude is really out here trying to help us. Get the fuck out of here. If there was a way that they could charge us for clean oxygen, they would. And if there was a way that he could prevent by draining your body of mucus, it's ridiculous. Let's talk about Nick Cannon. I got time for this. I got time for Nick Cannon because I don't think Nick Cannon deserves his own show. I don't really think like he warrants his own episode by himself. So let's just go ahead and get him out of the way. Nick Cannon was wrong. Shut up. I'm tired of black people crying wolf. Black people who have Nick Cannon's people are slaves in this country. Nick Cannon's great-great-grandfather was a slave. Mama, slave. She was raped and pillaged. And he got the nerves to come out here and say some racist, biased bullshit, to say some oppressive bullshit. I'm tired of black people oppressing the oppressed. As a group of people who have been oppressed, how the fuck do you wake up in the morning, stretch, scratch your balls, look at the paper, eat your eggs, and go outside and say, who the fuck can I oppress? It's almost as if you know what it feels like to be stepped on, so you want to get the thrills. Stop being annoying. And this is Hero speaking, Gist of Hero. And if this comes off as anti-Semitic, I don't mean it to be, but that's usually the start of someone saying something anti-Semitic. So here we go. These black people who claim to be the true Israelites, who claim to be the real people of God, are easily some of the most toxic, annoying, self-fulfilling, ideology bullshit having, no sense, no rhyme, no reason. You have never been to Israel, yet you have the nerves to sit up here in America on 79th and Crenshaw to say you're the true people of the Israelites. You want to know? You want to know who definitely believed the people in Israel right now were really Jews? Adolf Hitler. He believed it so much he tried to kill 2 million of them. How dare you? How dare you take someone who was our ally in suffrage and try and pin them as the enemy? Nick Cannon said some anti-Semitic racist bullshit, and these African Israelite type people who have never left their state walking around with last names like Daquan and Newman and James, you're not McFry? That's your Israelite ties? Get the fuck out of here. You say anti-Semitic shit, you gonna get fucked with. Even I know better than to mess with the Jews. Wanna know why? Because people have been fucking with them their whole life. Just like they've been fucking with black people. Where do black people get the fuck off saying that, yeah, we are the only real identifiers? And what's your proof? Oh, we look like them. Everyone's from Africa, you idiot. So get over it. You couldn't tell a white person in South Africa they're not African. There are 2 black people who will have sex and give birth to a white kid in Africa. How do you explain that? The sheer ignorance and the lack of just knowledge, because they use the Bible. And once again, if it's an argument against the Bible, you've already lost, because it's the Bible. It means everything and nothing all at the same time. So I don't argue with people who have this. When somebody says we're the real people of God, I love when people tell me, walk up to me and say, oh, you're from Nigeria? Oh man, you're really an Israelite. You know that, right? Like, what tribe are you from? Look, what tribe are you from? I'm like, I'm Yoruba. First descendant. Oh, okay. So you know there was this guy who came down who set up shop there and he was really an Israelite. And I'm like, oh, that's strange, because all my people were originated there. There's literally a 500,000-year-old tree that dates back all the way before Nigeria was named in the 60s, in the early 1600s. Before, in the 1960s, we got the name. Before the 3 tribal wars, before the people of Hausa became the people of Hausa land. Like, I scratch my head as this person who doesn't know me tries to explain my history to me. The balls. It's almost as if they're trying to do something that somebody did to them. Black people want to oppress so badly. They've been oppressed so badly that they want to do it to somebody else. They see the world doing it to them. They say, "Why? If we can find somebody, we'll do it to somebody else." There used to be an old running joke that used to really upset me when I was in high school. Not even high school, like right after 9/11. There was a joke that was like, "Oh, Arabs, you're tag." Black people will say that to Arabs. Tag, you're it. Monkey off our back as you pay that person, whatever, like respect for going through a tragic situation that they had nothing to do with and yet being blamed for. That's why we have a hard time finding allies, because we don't really align ourselves with anybody that really stands up for something. The amount of people who are willing to protect Nick Cannon, like, okay, and hear me out, like, I don't think Nick Cannon should lose his livelihood. He's 40 years old or something like that. I don't think he should be done with and over with. If he apologized, which I think he's done, which if he hasn't, then fuck him. But if he's apologized, he's acknowledged why what he said is hurtful, why him assuming that he can only be the real Jews when there are Jewish people out there who are fighting for their livelihood. I dare you to go to Israel right now talking about you the real ones while they're annexing Palestinians from land that they own. That I dare you to go out there. They've been fighting a war longer than Nick Cannon has been alive. And he has the balls to say that he's the real people. You play stupid tricks, you win stupid prizes. I don't feel bad for him. I don't think his life should be over. But there's a group of people out there. You can't come they want to be different so bad. Like they'll change their name on Facebook and use like hieroglyphics. Like, get the fuck out of here. It's a cult. I'm not big on religion. Never will be, never have been. My kids can, parents can, siblings can, my partner can. It's you do you. Your religion is between you and whoever the hell you call God. I'm worried about you. Worry about yourself. Because all I've ever seen religion do is divide people. And to imagine, and this is like a caste system in India. It's not all people in India look the same. There might be slight, cultural differences, but there's literally a caste system where it's not even about what you look like. It's about how much money you got in your pocket. That's what dictates if you're like considered in or out. It happens here, but not to the extent that it happens there. You can't come into certain shops if you don't got enough money. I can go into a Louis Vuitton store and shop around. They might send 2 or 3 people to follow me, but I can go into that fucking store. In India, I would be beaten to death. Get the fuck out of here. For you to say you're a Jew as a black person, or you're the real Israelite or whatever, and not be able to acknowledge that there's probably going to be some other people who don't look like you in your religion, is sheer ignorance and a lack of knowledge in genetics and traits. Black people are every people. That's why we can have blue eyes. That's why we can have white hair. That's why we have color variation. And anybody else that has those variations, they're fortunate enough to carry our bloodline. We're special. That doesn't make us hateful. Be special, but more important than being special, be useful. Use that religion of peace, love, and happiness to actually spread some of that shit around during the pandemic. I've never heard anyone use their religion to fight for unity amongst the Israelites. That's strange to me. But they'll definitely sit here and try and divide them up as if they're not being used for a holy method. I am done talking about this. I just farted. That's how over this I am. But I would like to hear y'all opinion on this. I hope those Israelite people find this. I hope they come in here. I hope the Alfredo Bowman come in and say, show some respect for Dr. Sebi, and I'll be like, show me his medical degree. I want to fight with you guys. Bring it on. Like, share, subscribe. Dislike is an option. It all means the same to me. 200 subscribers. 200 subscribers. Let's get it. Get it. Because I want to get there. Because I want a plaque on my wall. But I really enjoy you guys joining me. Thank you guys so much for being here with me. Seriously, let me know what you think about some of the things I talked about today. Do you care? I won't be mad if you don't. But like, share, subscribe. My name is Hero. As always, a pleasure being here with you guys. Take care. 200 subscribers. 200 subscribers.